And there'll be a library on there where if you've ever missed anything, you can just jump in there. And a lot of my notes, as I talk, a lot of times I take notes, and I'm going to put Word documents up there so that people can read about what we talked about and not just listen to it. And so today was going to be the ABCDs to building a successful network marketing business. And A stands for action. And I want to applaud all of you, because you guys, each week you're on here together. You're taking action by taking the time on your Monday morning to get on these calls and to learn. And we just want to make sure that we're giving you, information and knowledge to help you grow and build your business. Okay. So I applaud you for taking action today and for being here, and each and every week that you are on these calls. So knowledge, action. By taking action, I tell people the first thing you need to do is to gain knowledge. I apologize, my phone's beeping here. You need to take action first by gaining knowledge, all right? Knowledge is power. Knowledge allows you to make educated decisions for yourself and not rely on somebody else all the time, okay? That may tell you what to do or what to believe. You need to believe for yourself, and you need to take action for yourself, okay? Knowledge also creates confidence, all right? Confidence will create more action, and that action will create results. But you can't have results without beginning with the knowledge. Let me give you an example. Let's say that we've got Rob on. Okay, we're going to say Rob is a lawyer, all right? He's a great attorney, and he's getting ready, prepared tomorrow. He has to go to defend a person who's on trial for murder, all right? And we're going to say Colwinder is a surgeon, and she has a heart surgery to perform tomorrow. I would like you guys to switch jobs. Colwinder, you're going to show up at court, and you're going to defend this person that's on trial for murder. Rob, you're going to go to the doctors or to the hospital and put on a gown, and you're going to perform heart surgery on somebody tomorrow. How uncomfortable are you guys going to feel? Extremely. Because you're out of your element, all right? Why are you out of your element? You don't have the confidence in what you're doing. Why don't you have the confidence? You don't have the knowledge. Now, most people, they'll go to school for college, and I have nothing against college. At least it's one way to gain some knowledge. And they'll do it for 4 years and take the time to spend money, to learn, to get a career. And let's face it, most people that do that end up looking for a job afterwards, and they end up getting a job which helps you survive, but it doesn't give you financial freedom, financial independence. Now, I'm not saying that we don't need doctors and lawyers and even mechanics and things like that. We do. But if someone has a desire to really thrive in life and to really be successful at anything, you take the time to learn. Well, here, if you think about it, in this business, there's no school you can go to that teaches you how to be an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs develop skills. How are those skills developed? Well, they're not really developed in a classroom. They're developed by taking action, going out and talking to people, personal development, working on yourself, step by step, getting better at what we do, becoming more successful, constantly progressing. That's how you become a successful entrepreneur. So I tell people, the knowledge that you need to have begins by taking the time to learn about your company. In this case, of course, 4Life. Learn about 4Life. Who are the people that run the company? What's their background? All this is available on 4Life.com. So I tell this to brand new people. Then I tell them, learn about your product. When you talk to somebody, you've got to tell them who you represent, what you represent. So take the time to learn a bit about your product. Pick 1 or 2 products and study those products. Learn about them. Can you tell somebody what transfer factor is, where it comes from? What are the benefits? What does it do? And when you're telling someone, understand, if you have knowledge, your confidence will exude. They'll know, they'll look at you and say, wow. Now, when I started 4Life, I took the time to gain this knowledge by reading papers from Dr. McCausland and whatever I could find. We didn't really have the internet going much at that time, but I prepared my presentation so well. And I did it literally in like a few hours, and I practiced in front of the mirror. I practiced whenever I would drive my smashed up Toyota Corolla, climbing out of the passenger side when I was first starting. People thought I was crazy because they see me talking in the car. I was talking to myself, practicing, all right? Why? Because I knew that when I would talk to people, it mattered how I delivered my knowledge, how I delivered the presentation. And so, ironically, people would call me after a meeting or a presentation on the phone, and we didn't have Zoom back then, so it was just vocal calls, just the conference calls, and my phone would ring, and I'd answer, and they'd say, "Hello, doctor." I'm not a doctor, but it was the way that I delivered the message that they thought I was a doctor. You see, how did I do that? I knew nothing about transfer factor. I knew nothing about 4Life. Literally a couple weeks earlier, not even a couple weeks, I'd say probably about 4 days before that, I knew nothing. But I took the time to prepare, okay, and gain that knowledge. So how do you get the knowledge? All kinds of places. There's a plethora of places now. But of course, 4life.com is one place. If you want product knowledge, you guys know you can go to the shop, the 4Life shop, even 4life.com, click on shop, pick a product or two, and download the product profiles, read about it. You can go on the internet, you can read about it also, especially transfer factor, but mainly the product profiles. That's the best place. And then getting on calls like these, even getting into like Ambassadors in Motion, the closed Facebook group where there's testimonies. You can learn testimonies and hear from other people. So there's all kinds of ways you can gain knowledge on product. Claudia, we're getting a lot of noise here. Let me see if
I can hear it. Let me see who I can mute. I'm going to mute Mike, and let me see who else is not muted. I think it's Gabby. Okay.
One thing you might want to do when you prepare the call, you can always put mute on entry. Just check the box. That way anyone that comes in is automatically muted. So back to the knowledge here. So the other is the pay plan. You can gain knowledge on the pay plan by watching videos. When we were all in Tennessee, we received an amazing presentation on the pay plan. And I'm going to get my hands on that. I really liked it a lot, especially the business builder bonus portion. So there's always people talking. There's all kinds of places that you can learn. Getting on calls like this as well. Another way is not just with me. Get on other people's calls when you can, all right? Maybe it's Jeff Altgilber's Facebook Live. Maybe it's my Facebook Live. I'm going to be doing a lot of Facebook Lives as well now. The one thing we don't want, though, is we don't want people spending 100% of their time just trying to get knowledge, all right? This is a process, all right? Even me, I'm still gaining knowledge today after 37 plus years of doing this. I might attend a meeting, and that's the key. Attending meetings, attending events, getting on these kinds of calls, going to conventions like we're going to be at coming up in Mexico. There's a lot of fun with the rah-rah and the excitement and everything, but at the same time, there might be a brand new person in the business that's just getting started. Doesn't matter what level they are in the company, doesn't matter their pin level. They might have tremendous amount of experience from other businesses or whatever, and just listening to them. I'll give you an example. I'm always amazed when I listen to Dr. Robert Ojina in Kenya. I spoke with him yesterday, and he's actually a mentor of mine. He's a presidential diamond. He'll soon be international. He's just about there. I think it'll happen this month. But I listen to him talk, and the guy's just a wealth of philosophy and information. He's also like a protege of Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins, and all these successful speakers. And he spent a lifetime listening to those guys. Doesn't matter if he's a platinum or not. He'll get to platinum, but he's a mentor of mine too. And even some of you, I listen to you and you mentor me as I listen. So attend all of your meetings to gain that knowledge, okay? So it all begins with knowledge. Second, the B is believe. Believe in what you're doing, all right? I understand when we all start, we start with faith, all right? I started with faith. If I had known when I joined 4Life that I would be a Platinum International Diamond, if that day I signed that application, I could see my journey. I could sit down, watch a quick film of this journey, and see where I would be from 1998 to 2006, a Platinum International Diamond, and making all the money I make, traveling the world, all these wonderful trips. I mean, I've been in 99 countries, you guys. I'm not saying that to brag. It's just that if I had seen that from the beginning, I wouldn't have been afraid at all, first of all. And my faith really wouldn't have been faith. It would have been a tremendous conviction knowing that this is already going to unfold. But I began with faith, all right? Just like we all do. But as you exercise that faith, by gaining knowledge, exercising that knowledge, getting on calls, taking action, doing things to grow and build your business, all of a sudden that faith turned into this powerful testimony. And just to give you an example, I recently ran into someone and I was talking to them and they said, yeah, I tried that network marketing and it doesn't work. And you know what I said? Are you sure? Could have fooled me. It's worked really well for me, you know. And of course, I'm driving an i8, you know, and of course they look at it, they look at me and, oh yeah, I guess so. This happened at a gas station, by the way. And so, you know, I have such a conviction now that nobody could ever tell me that network marketing doesn't work, For Life doesn't work, Transfer Factor doesn't work. I'd say you're crazy, right? So my belief level is extremely high. So our job as distributors and representatives of For Life is to help other people gain that same knowledge. While we're doing that and to gain that same belief level, while we're doing that with others, guess what happens to us? We grow as well. It's a win-win situation, you see? So we get to grow together, learn together, and that's the key here. Together. No one's doing this alone, okay? That's what I love about this business. So you have to believe in what you're doing, all right? And of course, that belief will turn into a powerful testimony. Next, you need to be committed, and that's the letter C. And when I say committed, I don't mean putting one toe in the water, just testing this or trying it out. I tell people, if you really want to do this, now if you want to do it sometime or part-time, that's fine, but at least be committed when you're doing it sometime or part-time. If you're going to do it 5 hours a week, 50 hours a week, 500 hours a week, I don't know if there's 500 hours in a week, but nevertheless, if you're going to do it like that, when you're doing For Life, really be committed to what you're doing. In the beginning, I understand that you're going to spend 80, 90% of your time learning and preparing. I get that. But as quickly as possible, take that commitment that you have and flip it around. Don't get caught up in what I call analysis paralysis, where all you're trying to do is gain knowledge. All you're trying to do is learn and study. The next action you have to take is sharing that information. So I tell people, look, if you're committed, great. You take the time to learn, but then you have to challenge yourself. You've got to do maybe some things that might be a little uncomfortable, all right? That's okay. Doing uncomfortable things is what makes us grow. It makes us become stronger. It's like when I gave my first presentation in front of a group of people, I thought I was going to pee my pants. I was so scared. And you know what? I don't remember what I said to this day. Didn't matter. When I was done, I told myself, if I can do it once, I can do it again. So I think from that first meeting I did when I was 21 years old, I learned the most from it. I gained the most out of that meeting. I'm still talking about it 30-something years later, and I guarantee you no one else is, all right? So I gained a lot by taking that action, challenging myself, standing up in front of people and doing it. And even today, I find myself out of my element now and then with something. You know, maybe someone questions me. I don't know the answer. I feel uncomfortable. That's okay. There's an answer. I'll find it. And when I find it, I've gained more knowledge, gives me more confidence. I feel more comfortable. My belief level goes higher, and I become stronger at what I'm doing. This is a process of learning and growing and doing it again together, helping other people. All right. So A is taking action. That action begins with knowledge. Second, it also begins after you got that knowledge, which should happen quickly, by the way. Don't take forever. No analysis paralysis. Second, start talking to people, sharing it with people. Set your goals. How many people are you going to talk to today? For me, it's a lifestyle. All right. It's not even a habit. It's a lifestyle. If I go get gas at the gas station, you know, and it's just that people all the time walk by my car. It's a weird thing. I feel uncomfortable sometimes, but they walk by and they say, "Oh, really cool. What do you do for a living?" I love it when people ask me that. And I got to be careful because I can go on and on and on and talk to them, but I just take a couple of minutes and I tell them. And recently I found a guy in Amway. You know, he came up to me, started talking. I said, "I'm a networker. You know, I teach people how to build a business right from their own home, and I'm an entrepreneur, you know, and I represent a company called For Life." And he goes, "Oh, great, I'm in Amway." And I thought, "Oh, cool." So I told him how great Amway was and how, you know, they were like the grandfather in network marketing, and they kind of broke through the barriers of the whole pyramid thing and all that. And, you know, so I congratulated him. But then he wanted to know a little bit more about what I was doing. So all we really did in a couple of minutes was establish a friendship. We exchanged phone numbers. It's very simple. It needs to be natural, though. That's another day for another training in prospecting. But prospecting is something that should be natural, not forcing yourself on people or they'll get the opinion that you're trying to sell something. I don't sell anything. I just share information, looking for people that are interested. You're interested? Great. Let's do something. If not, no worries. And I always tell people I'm looking for a partner, a business partner. When you say that, they want to know what it is. All right. Very few people say, oh, wonderful, goodbye. They want to know more. So, but taking action, the prospecting part is extremely important because nothing's going to happen. And then, of course, in building, I love to work through other people. Okay. So, but C, being committed means that you're going to do something every day you're working your For Life business. All right. And then D stands for declaring yourself. All right. And declaring yourself simply means that you're willing to tell, especially the people that know you, what you're going to do, what you're going to do with your life, what you're going to do with this business. When you do that, you lay yourself out there. And yes, they may criticize you and they may tell you you're crazy, just like they told me, why don't you get a real job, Dave? Or what are you doing that for? And I know it can be disheartening sometimes, but here's the way I look at it. I actually like the challenge because what it does, it drives me. It gives me more of a reason to show them what I'm going to do by declaring myself to family, friends, neighbors, my relatives and so forth, especially relatives, your family. They're the hardest on you. But by declaring yourself, let them go ahead and say what they may say. Now, granted, it depends. I talked to a guy who's an IT specialist, and I'm sure I'll be sponsoring him, and I'll have him on one of these calls in the future. But he told me, his name's Mark. He said, Dave, the biggest fear I have is what my family's going to say. And I said, Mark, welcome that. Let them say it, okay? Look at my family. They said that to me in the beginning. Guess what? Most of them are in my business now, okay? It's just because they don't understand. They don't know, all right? And they may think they're doing you good by telling you that, but they're not. And it's okay. And if anything, it should motivate you and give you drive to show them what this business really is, right? And by laying yourself out there and telling them, the other thing that happens is as you go out and you become successful, they're going to watch, they're going to observe, and it doesn't matter if it takes a month, a year, 3 years. It doesn't matter. Because once things happen and the magic happens and you start tasting that success and becoming successful, trust me, people become attracted to you, all right? The other thing that I feel is very important is practice. Who are you going to practice on? I practiced in the mirror. I practiced in the car, like I said earlier. But then I started calling my grandmother, my father, and I didn't care if they said, why don't you get a real job? All right, it didn't matter. I simply said, look, is it okay if I tell you about what I'm doing? What family member or someone that loves you is going to say, no, shut up, I don't want to hear it? Of course they said, well, what is it? That gave me an opportunity to practice on them, you see? So I used them as my guinea pigs to practice, okay? And I wasn't trying to sign them up or anything. It just prepared me so that when I got on with people, like you guys or someone else, I was a bit more polished in my presentation because I used my family to practice on them as my guinea pigs. So it's a win-win, all right? They're criticizing me on their end, thinking that they're doing me good, and I'm using them on my end to practice and get better so that I can deliver a great presentation, all right? So in declaring yourself, I feel it's very important. But let me share with you all real quick how I discovered that letter D. And you might have heard this story before, because I've always talked about the ABCs, take action, believe in what you're doing, and be committed. But the letter D actually came to me by surprise. You all know a bit about my story, how when I started, I was so broke, I couldn't even pay attention. But that's just a way that I would try to have a little bit of laughter and just take lightly my situation when I started For Life. But I was really broke, but many don't know, but I was living in a shelter before For Life. And so when I started For Life and I got going, I didn't have a car. And so I lived in a little teeny place, $400 a month rent in a ghetto, and my neighbors got busted for selling cocaine, My door got tagged the first night I was there with graffiti by some gang members. So they had to put an iron door on the front of it so nobody would kick it in. It was just a bad situation. But I had faith. I believed in what I was doing. I was committed. I would always say that I'm broke, not poor. Poor is a state of mind. Broke is just a matter of time. I knew I'd be back. I was successful before. I'd do it again. I say the same thing now. If I lost it all, I'll do it again. It's okay. You know, but the older you get, it's not so okay. But nevertheless, I have the knowledge to do it again. So no car, got started. Finally, I was able to get a car. Borrowed money from a friend, $5,000. Had a little bit of money myself, not much, a few $100s, and got my little Toyota Corolla. It was supposed to be red. Wasn't red. It was the color of tomato. All right. It was, I have tomatoes opaque. It's not really red. It's faded. And that's what it looked like from being in the sun. And I only had it for literally just a couple of weeks. Christmas morning, I'm driving down the street, a main street in El Centro, California, on the border of Mexico and Arizona, and I was going to see my daughter to give her a little Christmas present, 7 in the morning. And rather than paying attention to where I'm driving, I'm looking over at these bags that were lit up with candles on Christmas Eve. They were still lit on Christmas morning and looked beautiful. I'm looking at these candles, and all of a sudden I go through a stop sign, and bam, I get hit broadsided on the driver's side, T-boned by a minivan. A woman's driving it. The only other person driving in the whole town hits me. I mean, 7 in the morning on Christmas Day, the only person out is Santa Claus, all right? So I get out of the car, out of the passenger side, because the driver's side was smashed in, couldn't get out, climb out the passenger side. My glasses were stuck in the headliner. I got hit so hard, and messed up my neck a little bit, but I was okay. Made sure that the lady driving the car was okay. Thank heavens nobody was in. She was in a minivan, so her car wasn't even damaged that much. Nevertheless, she was okay. Please come. Officer says, Merry Christmas. We're all okay. He could see that. Tells the ambulance to go away. And after everything is done, I get back into my car on the passenger side because I realized she hit me perfectly between the wheels. So even though the doors were smashed in, I could still climb in the passenger side, drive the car, but now I was driving like this, okay, sitting off to the side because the seat was shifted over from the impact of the minivan, but I could drive the car. So I drove that car for about 6 months, climbing in and out of the passenger side from the smashed car. And people thought I was crazy. Now, how am I going to go tell people about success, making money, network marketing, and all that, getting in and out of a Toyota Corolla that's smashed on one side? So I retreated back into my little room, talking to people over the phone. Anytime I had to go out in my car, I would do it at night so people didn't see me driving. It's now January, February, March, rainy season. I'm out in the desert. It gets muddy out there. I had to put duct tape over the top of the door because it opened up from the impact. So it looked really ugly, the car. Nevertheless, I would drive it at night to go do my shopping when I had to go get food. I'd work until about midnight every day. I would take off, go to the store, get some food. Nobody could see me getting out of the car. One day I had to go in the daytime, and I pulled far away from the door of the shopping, the store, Albertsons, it was exactly, and I parked far away so nobody could see me making my escape out of the car because I'm a big guy. Trying to climb out of a Toyota Corolla on the passenger side, climbing over that little console, it wasn't easy. But one day I parked my car in this parking lot, Albertsons, and no one's around me. I'm getting ready to make my move, get out. And this lady pulls up in another minivan. She parks next to me. So I wait till she gets out and leaves. Then I make my move to get out of my car. Well, as I'm climbing over the console, it breaks. And I fell flat on the seat next to me. I mean, I face planted just about in the door. It would have been funny if I'd hit the window with my face smashed into the window. But anyhow, I looked up through the window and I could see in the passenger side of the minivan towards the back, there were 3 kids in there laughing at me, watching me try to get out of this car. That had a tremendous impact on me that day, on my life. I had 3 strong emotions that overcame me. 1, sadness. I told myself, here I am, I'm dating Gabby, we're not married yet, I know her family's looking at me, they think I'm a fuller brush salesman knocking on doors, I don't have anything to offer, and it's like, what's this guy doing? He's talking about getting rich, I wasn't talking about getting rich, but network marketing, being successful and all that, and they didn't really know me very well. So I felt sad. but I'm not the kind of person to dwell on that, so it passed quickly. Number two, I felt this desire to strangle those kids for laughing at me, but you can't do that, of course, and that passed very quickly. I'm not a violent person, and I love kids. And number three, all of a sudden, this feeling overcame me that, you know what, it's okay. This position I'm in isn't going to last. Why? Because I'm willing to do whatever it takes to be successful, as long as it's legal. And I literally looked up and I made a declaration. That's where the letter D came from, a declaration to my Father in heaven, my God. And I said, Father, I will do whatever I have to do to be successful. Help me, all right? I'll learn, I'll work, I'll do what I have to do. And interestingly enough, that day I went back home and my attitude took a bit of a shift. I was always working hard, but all of a sudden I felt more powerful. I felt more in control. And as I got on calls and started talking to people, they even noticed a bit of a change. I was coming more from a position of strength than weakness. And I gained more knowledge, more power, more confidence. And the rest is history. It just kept going and going. So, that's a little bit about my story and how I discovered the letter D. But I talk about the ABCDs all the time. And so we need to be doing this, every one of us. Daily action, okay? Always believing in what we're doing, all right? And our belief level will continue to go up. I'll be with David Lisenby and Danny Lee in a couple of days, and so will you, Claudia, in Mexico City. And every time I'm around those guys, it gives me even more confidence in what I'm doing, because I look at them and how that they're flying this plane of ours, or piloting the plane, or being the captain of our ship, and they're doing a great job for us. And watching them even gives me more confidence in where we're going and what we're doing. And of course, declaring myself, I have no problem with that. I love declaring myself to people, because it really puts me on the line and out there that I have to do what I say I'm going to do. So anyhow, there's the ABCDs for today. Hope I didn't go too long, Claudia, and I'll pass it back to you.
No, you did amazing. Right on time, 12:55. This is about when we finished. So for those of you that made the time, even if you popped in late, I'm sorry that I had to bribe you, telling you that Dave was like sitting here waiting for you guys. And you would have missed this amazing training, because it really is so inspiring. So let me just finish checking the chat. I don't know if you're checking. Oh, Dave.
I'll be on, by the way, again in 5 minutes with the other people, if any of you want to join in.
You're done. You can go. I'm finishing too. Happy Canadian Thanksgiving.
I'm going to jump into your room, though.
Yeah. So no, I'm not in your room. This is like a meeting, so you're good. We're not crossing up with rooms. So Dave, thank you for joining us. Thank you, everybody. And if you have any questions, put it in the group. It was great training. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you tomorrow, Dave and Anna.